Summer of 1966 on Auburn Avenue in Atlanta. A wrecking crew arrives at the corner of Howell Street. Their target is one of the grandest private residences ever built by a black family in the American South. 22 rooms, imported Italian marble, hand-carved mahogany staircases, the former home of Alonzo Herndon, the barber who became Atlanta's first black millionaire. The mansion had stood for 55 years, a Beaux-Arts masterpiece that announced black wealth so loudly you could see it from 3 blocks away. Now it was coming down. Not because of fire, not because of structural failure, because the neighborhood was being renewed, because the city decided this block was better suited for a highway, because the world that built such houses had been systematically destroyed. This is the story of how Atlanta's black elite built an empire of mansions along Auburn Avenue, and how urban renewal, highway construction, and deliberate policy wiped them from the map in less than 2 decades. If you enjoy deep dives into hidden black history and lost architecture, consider subscribing. We explore the forces that built and destroyed America's greatest black neighborhoods and estates. Let's begin with the wrecking ball. Auburn Avenue wasn't always called Sweet Auburn. In the 1880s, it was just another dirt road on the eastern edge of Atlanta. No mansions, no wealth, just empty lots and a few wooden houses. That changed when the railroads came. Black porters, baggage handlers, and service workers clustered near the rail depots. They needed housing. Auburn Avenue was affordable and close to work. By the 1890s, a small black commercial district had formed, with barbershops, grocery stores, and churches. Then something extraordinary happened. Some of those barbers and shopkeepers started making real money. Not survival money, wealth. Alonzo Herndon was the first. Born enslaved in 1858, he arrived in Atlanta with nothing. He opened a barbershop in 1878. It was not a black barbershop. It was a luxury establishment serving white businessmen. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, the finest shaving soaps money could buy. His white clients paid premium prices for premium service. Herndon saved every dollar. By 1905, he had opened multiple shops and invested in real estate. Then he bought a struggling insurance company, Atlanta Life, and transformed it into the South's largest black-owned business. By 1910, Herndon was a millionaire, and millionaires built mansions. The Herndon home, completed in 1910, occupied an entire block at 587 University Place, just off Auburn Avenue. 15 rooms, Beaux-Arts architecture with classical columns, Italian marble imported from Carrara, a rooftop terrace overlooking the entire neighborhood. The house announced something radical. Black people could build generational wealth in the South. They could live in mansions. They could own institutions. Other black entrepreneurs followed Herndon's lead. Harry Pace built a mansion on Houston Street after founding Pace Phonograph Corporation. Reverend Henry Hugh Proctor commissioned a residence befitting Atlanta's most powerful black minister. The Rucker family, wealthy through real estate, constructed an estate on Boulevard Avenue. By the 1920s, Auburn Avenue had transformed. The stretch from Peachtree to Boulevard became known as the richest Negro street in the world. Fortune magazine confirmed it in a 1956 article. There were over 120 black-owned businesses, multiple banks, insurance companies, theaters, and hotels. And the mansions, dozens of them, not the wood frame houses of working-class families, but stone and brick estates with servants' quarters, grand staircases, and architectural details rivaling anything in Buckhead. The neighborhood's wealth peaked in the 1950s. Auburn Avenue controlled over $100 million in black commercial assets. The Royal Peacock Club hosted Duke Ellington and Billie Holiday. The Atlanta Daily World newspaper had national circulation. Atlanta Life Insurance employed hundreds. The mansion stood as physical proof that segregation could not stop black excellence. White Atlantans tried to ignore Auburn Avenue's success. but you could not ignore a 3-story mansion with Corinthian columns. Then the city decided Auburn Avenue had to go. Not all of it, not officially, but the 1960 urban renewal plan targeted specific blocks for redevelopment, blocks where the grandest mansions stood, blocks worth millions in real estate. The official justification was highway construction. Atlanta needed to modernize. Interstate 75 and 85 would bisect the city, connecting north to south. The route, conveniently, cut directly through Auburn Avenue's residential core. Eminent domain notices arrived in 1962. Families had 18 months to vacate. The city offered compensation far below market value. A mansion worth $200,000 received offers of $45,000. Owners who protested found themselves in legal battles they could not afford. The Herndon family fought to save their home. They had resources, lawyers, and political connections. It did not matter. The highway route was fixed. In 1964, the mansion was condemned. The family was given 6 months. By 1966, the wrecking crews had arrived. Photographs from the demolition show the Herndon home's Italian marble staircase exposed to the sky. Carved mahogany panels stacked like firewood. The rooftop terrace where Alonzo Herndon had once surveyed his empire reduced to rubble in an afternoon. Atlantans watched the demolition with mixed feelings. Some black residents mourned the loss of a landmark. Others saw it as inevitable. The city had always found ways to take what black people built. White Atlantans barely noticed. To them, it was progress. Old neighborhoods making way for modern infrastructure. The fact that those old neighborhoods contained architectural masterpieces built by black millionaires was irrelevant. The Herndon home was not the first to fall. By 1966, at least 15 other Auburn Avenue mansions had been demolished. The Pace Mansion, the Proctor Estate, the Rucker family homes, all gone. When the grandest house built by Atlanta's first black millionaire could not survive, it confirmed what many feared. No amount of black wealth could protect you when the city wanted your land. The question is, why? What forces destroyed a neighborhood that had thrived for 70 years? To understand the end, we need to understand the beginning. How did Auburn Avenue become the richest Negro street in the world? What created the world where families like the Herndons could build mansions, while most black Southerners sharecropped? The answer begins 50 years earlier, in the aftermath of Reconstruction. Reconstruction ended in 1877. Federal troops withdrew from the South. Black political power collapsed almost overnight. The brief window when black men voted, held office, and accumulated property slammed shut. But something unexpected happened in Atlanta. While most southern cities descended into complete Jim Crow oppression, Atlanta's white business elite made a calculated decision. They would tolerate black economic success if it stayed contained to specific areas. The reason was pure economics. Atlanta wanted to become the commercial capital of the New South. That required workers, lots of them. Black labor was cheap and abundant. But unlike enslaved labor, free black workers needed housing, services, and commercial infrastructure. Auburn Avenue became that infrastructure. White businessmen did not build there. They did not invest there. But they did not actively destroy it either, as long as it stayed on the black side of town. This created a unique opportunity. Black entrepreneurs could not serve white customers in most industries. Segregation locked them out, but they had a captive market. Atlanta's 40,000 black residents who needed everything white businesses would not provide. Alonzo Herndon understood this perfectly. His barbershop served white men because barbering was acceptable black labor, but he invested his profits in businesses that served black customers, insurance being the smartest choice. Insurance companies collect premiums monthly. If managed well, that capital compounds. Herndon did not spend the money. He invested it in real estate, bonds, and more businesses. Atlanta life became a wealth generation machine. By the 1920s, Herndon's son Norris had expanded the company to 14 states. The monthly premium collections from thousands of policyholders created a river of capital. That capital bought more real estate, more businesses, more mansions. Other families followed similar paths. Heman Perry founded Standard Life Insurance in 1913. Within a decade, it had over $20 million in assets, the largest black-owned insurance company in America. Perry built a mansion on Auburn Avenue that rivaled the Herndons. The Yates and Milton drugstore chain accumulated wealth by filling prescriptions for black customers excluded from white pharmacies. The family built a Houston Street estate with 8 bedrooms and a ballroom. Atlanta's black banks, Citizens Trust, and Mutual Federal Savings financed mortgages that white banks refused. The bankers who ran these institutions built mansions on Boulevard and Howell Street. This was not just individual wealth, it was generational. The Herndon family maintained their fortune across 3 generations. The Perry family, the Yates family. These were not nouveau riche who would burn through money in one lifetime. They built institutions designed to last centuries. The mansions reflected that permanence. You do not build with Italian marble if you are worried about being run out of town next year. You do not commission Beaux-Arts architecture if you think your wealth is temporary. The Auburn Avenue elite believed they were building a black aristocracy, a merchant class that would control commerce, own property, and pass wealth down through families just like white elites did. They were wrong. While they were building mansions, Atlanta's white power structure was planning something else entirely. The destruction of Auburn Avenue did not happen by accident. It was deliberate, systematic, and justified with language that sounded progressive. They called it urban renewal, slum clearance, infrastructure modernization. The reality was simpler. White Atlanta wanted the land back. By 1950, Auburn Avenue real estate was worth millions of dollars. The commercial district generated substantial tax revenue. The residential blocks where the mansion stood occupied prime real estate close to downtown. White developers had been eyeing the area for years, but they faced a problem. The property owners were not selling. Why would they? These families had built empires. Their mansions had appreciated in value. They had no reason to leave. So the city changed the rules. In 1954, the Supreme Court ruled in Brown versus Board of Education that segregation was unconstitutional. White Southerners panicked. If segregation was ending, what would stop black people from moving into white neighborhoods? Atlanta's answer was urban renewal. They would demolish black neighborhoods before integration could spread them into white areas. The federal government would even pay for it. The Housing Act of 1954 provided funding for cities to clear blighted areas. Auburn Avenue was not blighted. It had mansions, successful businesses, and low crime. But the city declared it blighted anyway. The 1960 Central Area Study identified 169 blocks for clearance. 56 of those blocks were in or adjacent to Auburn Avenue. The plan called for highways, government buildings, and renewed commercial space. Translation: demolish black wealth and replace it with infrastructure that benefited white Atlanta. The highway was the key weapon. Interstate 75 and 85 had to go somewhere. Engineers could have routed it through less developed areas. They chose Auburn Avenue instead. Why? Because condemning property for highway construction gave the city eminent domain powers. They did not have to negotiate fair prices. They did not have to respect property rights. They declared the route, offered lowball compensation, and if owners refused, they took the land anyway. The Herndon family tried to fight. They hired lawyers. They appealed to city council. They argued that the mansion was historically significant and that relocating the highway route by 3 blocks would spare it. City officials were unmoved. The route was final. Other families had even less power, smaller estates, less wealth, fewer connections. When the eminent domain notices arrived, they had no choice but to accept the city's offer and leave. Between 1960 and 1970, more than 40 Auburn Avenue mansions were demolished. Not abandoned, not decayed, demolished by government order. The families scattered. Some moved to the West End. Some moved to Cascade Heights, a newer black neighborhood farther from downtown. Some left Atlanta entirely, taking their wealth to other cities where their property rights might be respected. The businesses followed. Without the residential base, commercial activity collapsed. The Royal Peacock closed. The Atlanta Daily World relocated. Insurance companies moved their headquarters. By 1975, Auburn Avenue was unrecognizable. Where mansions had stood, there were vacant lots. Where thriving businesses had operated, there were boarded-up storefronts. The highway had carved a scar through the neighborhood's heart. The irony was crushing. These families had played by every rule. They had built wealth through legal means. They had purchased property. They had paid taxes. They had created institutions that employed thousands. None of it mattered when the city wanted their land. Today, if you walk Auburn Avenue, you can still see fragments of what existed. The Herndon home survived barely. After the family lost their legal battle, a preservation group stepped in at the last moment. The mansion was moved 3 blocks to a lot the city did not want. It stands there still, a museum. Now, the only grand residence from Auburn Avenue's golden age, still intact. But most people do not know it exists. There are no tours advertised. No historical markers explain what surrounded it. Just one isolated mansion in a neighborhood of parking lots. The other estates are gone completely. The Pace Mansion, the Perry Estate, the Rucker homes. No plaques mark where they stood. No photographs hang in City Hall. Atlanta tells the story of Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthplace on Auburn Avenue. They preserve that shotgun house, but they do not talk about the mansions. They do not mention that black millionaires built Beaux-Arts palaces 3 blocks away. Why? Because those mansions complicate the narrative. If black Southerners could build that level of wealth under Jim Crow, it raises uncomfortable questions about what else was possible. It suggests that segregation was not just morally wrong, it was also economically inefficient. Black entrepreneurs created millions in value that segregation prevented from fully participating in the broader economy. And if black wealth existed at that scale in 1950, it makes the urban renewal destruction look less like modernization and more like theft. Historians estimate that Auburn Avenue families lost over $50 million in property value at the time, which is more than $500 million today. That wealth did not evaporate. It was transferred from black property owners to the city, from generational estates to highway departments. The families who built those mansions had plans. They intended to pass them to their children, to their grandchildren, to create dynasties that would last centuries the way the Vanderbilts and the Astors did. One generation of government policy erased that possibility. The destruction of Auburn Avenue's mansions teaches us something essential about wealth, power, and what it takes for black success to survive in America. Alonzo Herndon built an empire. He did everything the American dream promised: work hard, save money, invest wisely, and build institutions. His mansion should still be standing. His family should still own it. It should be passed down through generations. But empires are fragile when you do not control the political system. Mansions do not survive when the city wants your land. Wealth does not protect you when the law itself can be rewritten to take what you have built. The Auburn Avenue families discovered this truth too late. They thought property rights were universal. They believed that wealth created security. They were wrong. Today, the highway they destroyed Auburn Avenue to build is crumbling. The urban renewal projects failed. The commercial developments never materialized. But the mansions are still gone. And with them, generations of black wealth that might have compounded into billions.